everyone. Okay, what we are going to do in this video is to discuss how to shade pigments and get a little bit more pop going than you would normally expect from the dry powdered pigments. So, as you can see, I've got the critter here, the griffin, actually turned upside down. I'm going to use a liquid wash. I have here Liquitex acrylic ink, carbon black, and Reaper brush on sealer. Okay, you get a really nice effect with this Reaper brush on sealer when you use it for washes and shading. Basically, this is going to be an extremely controlled glaze wash. You know, different people have different ways to define them. The reason why I have the griffin turned upside down is because I want gravity to help me out. I want the darker shading to be up against the bottom creases of these feathers, and of course the lighter shading at the tips. So, as you can see, I just got a little plastic case. This used to be a pin holder. I love using this thing. It supports my minis all the time. And I've got him propped up like so. So hopefully gravity will help me out, and we can get some decent shading going. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to break away here, and I'm going to show you how I mix this particular wash. Okay, and you see I got my little ceramic well palette out. I've got my ink, I've got my brush on sealer, and one thing I want to mention, I always use a thrashed brush for applying glazes and sealers. Now you do have to be careful in the fact that you don't want it too thrashed, because like I said, these are going to be controlled glazes. So you don't want one that goes wah like a cat's tail, and you can't control the glaze correctly. This happens to be a Dick Blick Master Stroke Finest Red Sable. It is Dick Blick's attempt at doing a nice red sable brush. It's actually tough as nails, but as you can see, the points kind of frayed out. It is inexpensive compared to other red sable brushes, but I do get better point control than I would with something that is not a sable. Because of the price, I do not feel guilty in the least about using it for jobs that I don't want my good Kolinskis to do. So kind of shop around and see if you can find a decent price sable. Usually try to get it on sale if at all possible, that you can use for applying sealers, washes, and even primer, brush on primers. Because of the capillary action, the ink here, the glaze, is going to get up in the ferrule. It's just really going to saturate it because we're not dealing with paint here. And primers, especially brush-on primers, have a tooth. Basically, it is made to give a slight tooth so the paint can actually stick to it. That tooth is very hard on sable. These brush tips, each individual bristle has a tip called the flag, and the tooth, the roughness of the tooth on brush-on primer tears the flag up in a heartbeat. So you do not want to use your good brushes for washes and for brush-on primer. So try to find something, like I said, inexpensive. These Blick Master Strokes fit the bill for me, so that's what we're going to use. Another thing I want to mention is distilled water. I like using distilled water when I have to mix or add water to any product I'm using. It keeps creepy crawlies, you know, mold, and other items that are unwanted from growing when you close your paint up and seal it, and it's got to sit there for a while. Especially living here in Southeast Texas, the humidity is extremely high. We have a terrible problem with mold So you want to be aware of that and use products like distilled water if you are going to create something that you are going to store. Now, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to mix this in my palette because I'm going to keep it the amounts small. That way, if it's not doing exactly what I want it to, or if it's not giving me the effect exactly how I want it, I'll just go to the next well and adjust my mix a little bit and go on down the road and not waste a whole bunch of glaze or ink or sealer. The stuff gets expensive after a while. So what I'm going to do is I got my ink. I do like these Liquitex inks because of the dropper. Makes it very nice to measure. 1, 2, 3. We'll start out and see how that works. You know, I do write the stuff down, but it seems that even though I've got the dropper bottle and I mix and I try to keep it as regular as possible, it can be difficult to exactly recreate your mixes at times. You see, a lot of times I'll make notes on index cards and I keep them kind of like a recipe system. Color combinations, mixes, so on and so forth. So I've got recipe index cards, but it doesn't always work. You need to leave yourself open for experimentation, a little bit of testing, and go from there with your results. Are they what you want? If they're not, try something else. You also do not have to use 3, 4, 5. Whoa! Hang on, 6, 7, 8, 9. Like I said, gotta watch it. You also do not have to use this exact combination. You know, if you have a favorite wash or glaze method that works for you, rock on, my friend. Now, you do not have to use this actual combination. If you have a wash or glaze recipe that you absolutely adore, you love it, and you don't want to part with it, by all means use it. The only thing I would recommend is that you use it on a test model, especially if you're not that familiar with the metallic pigments. You may get different results because of the metallics, because of pigments in general, and because of the sealers that you have applied before coming to this step. So I strongly recommend, whenever you're trying something new or you're not quite sure how it's going to work, use a test model. In this case, we're mixing up a small enough amount that if it's not reacting exactly the way I want it, I can just go mix up another little batch and not waste a whole lot of product. So what I'm going to do, and as you can see, I mixed that with my brush. That's why I said don't use your good brushes on this. So what I'm going to do, and because I want, let me move this out of the way, hopefully without spilling it. Got a little full there. Alright, now what we want to do is get our little plastic thingy. And remember what I said about gravity. We want gravity to help us out here. But we don't want to dump the whole darn model into the paint. So you got to be careful. Anyways, what we are going to do is kind of prop this guy up using... Whoa, almost got him. Alright. There we go. Hopefully you can kind of see this. Make sure my angle here. Alright. Now, I'm going to take a little bit of my color, my shading, and I am just lightly applying it into the crevices to watch how it is going to react on the model. Even though I've used this formula several times now, I always want to keep an eye on things and make sure it's going to do what I want it to do. Right now it's looking good. I'm getting a decent enough, if you watch this, spread when I apply the brush to the feathers. But as you can see, this is still really kind of dark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust my application, because I've already got it on here. There's nothing I can do about that. That's why I suggest starting off with a test model. I am going to concentrate on the areas that are going to be the darkest parts on this particular model. So as you can see right here, we've got to join with his front legs and the body. We're going to hit that pretty intensely with this combination, because it's already dark and it's already applied, and there, to a certain extent, there's no going back. Now I can fix, like this area here that's a little dark, I can fix that, so that's not going to be a big deal. I'll show you how to do that in another video. Another thing I want to do is, you can see here, we start getting the larger primary type feathers here on the leg, and here they are shorter. So I'm going to pop the darker shading along that line, just to make it just a wee bit more pronounced. Alright. Also, because these feathers are larger, I am going to go ahead and start outlining some of the main shadows in here, especially those feathers that are behind. So they're going to be a wee bit darker. You see how that's starting to pop for us now? Of course, you're probably getting some glare here because the wash is wet, and so you're getting a glare from that. But no worries, you know, we'll get you some good photos after it dries so you can see exactly how this stuff reacts. Alright, you can see I'm getting a lot of good shading in here. I'm going to go across the bottom, these bottom feathers here. One of the things I want to do is, see how stark this line is with the feather and the body transition? I am going to feather that just slightly. I still want it dark because it is abrupt transition. This is where he goes from eagle to lion. But we also want it to look natural. So I'm going to hit that line there. Kind of blend that off. I don't like I also have some overpainting, and this is a good way to hide any overpainting mistakes. So we're going to hit this transition, and here's where the wing's going to go in. So I'm going to go hit that area here. You probably won't be able to see much of it once I get that wing in where it belongs. And again, we are also concentrating on those deep crevices that need to be darker than the rest of the body. Also, because this is going to be under the wing. The wing is upraised slightly, so it needs to be darker because it's under the wing, but not too dark because the wing is in an upward position, not downward. Alright, so I'm going to turn him over and we'll get some more spots going, and I'll definitely show you how to do those and show you what it looks like when he's dry. So flip him over and I'll be back. Okay, here's the front legs and the underbelly. Now, as I'm sure you imagine, these crevices here are going to be darker, especially with the underbelly. And he's got a big old breastplate that goes on him, so it covers quite a bit of area here and casts a shadow. So I am also going to hit this spot on his chest and increase the darkness. Now, you might be going, Kath, you're going too dark here. You just wiping out your metallics left and right. Well, number one, it does look a little bit better when it's dry. Number two, we haven't done highlighting yet, so that will be another step. So fear not, my friends. We will address those issues as we go through the video session. I have more in store for you. Hoo-ha-ha! Now, See, I'm getting in those crevices. We got some white spots too that I missed just because I was kind of getting in a hurry. See, don't rush. Got in a hurry, gotten a little sloppy. But, again, we're on the insides of the wings. These are going to be darker anyways, these feathers. So, you know, we're not in crisis mode at all. And that's another thing to mention is no matter what happens, don't stress. You can fix it. There's a lot of things you can do with pigments that I will go over either as they arise or in the troubleshooting video I have planned for you, fixing mistakes and rescuing something that perhaps you've worked hours on and then all of a sudden it goes the wrong direction. So we're going to discuss all that and have a definite video planned for you. So don't worry about that. And as soon as I flip this over, I'll get the other side. Okay, now you can see we are going through and applying our dark glaze to the areas where we need more. We have the recesses on his body and from feathers where we need more shading and contrast. And again, this is going to be under the wing, so we do want that just a wee bit darker than what we would normally expect. And let's see. And like I said earlier, we are going through this and I've got him upside down so gravity helps out with where this glaze is settling. I want the darker part to be at the base of the feathers. So, that's looking really good there. Now you can see this other side has already dried. And what we are getting is, it knocked down the metallic sheen again, but it is a much more natural looking shine. You know, birds really don't glow. They're not, well, maybe some of them are neon, but this in particular isn't. So we don't want this bright toucan Sam look, or, you know, the scarlet parrots or whatever they're called. We want a more natural type of transitions. So it really knocked down the metallics, but we have a very natural color. I really wish it would come through better on camera. But again, this is where we fight with cameras and getting the depth of color. So, anyways, let me let him dry and we will go over the next step in a minute. And last but not least, I'm going to make this really quick because I do apologize. This video is getting a little bit long, but wanted to show you he is completely dry now. And you can hopefully see what kind of effect we got from just that one coat of shading of wash placed on the feathers. And you can see how it settled in the crevices where we wanted it. So we've off to a good start here. Now, next video we will go over a few more things, how to pop the shading even more and start working on highlights too. So stay tuned for the next video. Thanks. Bye.